And hello to you. Happy Friday, or whatever day you're watching this on. Happy day to you. It's a real delight to have you here with me, sharing time and space. I am super excited about today's session, but before we dive in, I just really wanted to take a moment. If we haven't met before, my name is Monique Bradley, ko Monique Bradley tōku ingoa, he kai kōrero aho. I am a storyteller, and it's a real delight to have you here with me. Now, I know in the context of being a professional, a business owner, an entrepreneur, I often get asked in that business space, what do you mean you're a storyteller? Well, at the core of it, we're all storytellers. Storytelling's the oldest form of communication. It started off back in the old days of being a cave person, whereby we would be sharing information and knowledge through the power of stories. We also use stories to create our sense of the world around us, or make sense of the world around us. So right from birth, we're constantly inputting data into our beautiful brains, into our beautiful minds, which I call our incredible storage library of information that creates the operating system of how we show up in the world and make sense of the world. And in the business sense, how I use storytelling is I help people with their media marketing and sales, and how we can connect and use storytelling in a way to create trust and build confidence and all that sort of thing. Or get your sales message across and be memorable, create impact. I also help people when they're in that leadership space, when they want to create more impact as a leader or become more clear in their communication, so we can use storytelling for that. And storytelling is also fantastic when we're working with teams and we want to create a better space for diversity, inclusion, connection, all of those cool things. And most importantly, I use storytelling for people who might be struggling with their confidence, or they might be in that space where they know they want to live a bigger, better, more impactful life, but they don't know how to get past those self-limiting stories that might have been created in that beautiful library all prior to the age of 6 or 7 years of age. So all of that beautiful information that was input into our lives through experiences that we've had, through the stories that we were told about ourselves, all create to what we call, or a part of what we call, the creation of self-concept, which is really our identity and how we want to show up in the world. So if we are in a space where we're not quite living the life that we really want, or we're not connecting with people in a way that we really want, chances are it can actually be those stories that we created as we were forming our idea or our concept of the world around us. So it's a pretty amazing journey that I've had as a storyteller. I have done all sorts of incredible things over the last 27 years of my professional career as a storyteller. So for me, it's manifested working in the professional space as an actor and as a speaker, and I've worked on multiple major international films like Avatar and The Water Horse, and New Zealand films like Eagle versus Shark and A Secondhand Wedding. So I've been a storyteller in the acting sense. And then I've worked in leadership roles. I opened my own performing arts school. As soon as somebody implanted the idea in my head, I went, that's a really good idea. I'm an actor, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer. I can do anything I want. So I had this great idea that I would set up a performing arts school. I told stories to kids as a storyteller and as a magician as well. And I've used storytelling in the business world to help people really understand who they are, the stories that might be holding them back, and what they want to do professionally. And it's enabled me to work with amazing brands. Like I've worked with Xbox, I've worked with Dilmah Tea, I've worked with DeLonghi and Kenwood, and I've worked with loads of small to medium business owners, solopreneurs. And storytelling has been the common thread throughout all of the work that I've done. It doesn't matter where I've gone, what I've done in my life, storytelling has been the key to my success. And today's topic of how to get out of your own way really addresses that pillar of how storytelling may be holding you back. And this is probably my passion project, my purpose. And I just really want to say to you, whatever platform you're on today, thank you so much for joining me. I am going to share with you the framework that has enabled me to get over some quite major self-limiting beliefs around how I look, how I show up in the world, the energy that I bring into the room, being told for a lot of my life that I should dumb things down and play small. I say phooey to that. I'm going to play big. I'm designed to be a big personality, and I've really stepped up and started owning that, which has really opened the door to some incredible career developments for me and enabled me to speak not just on a national stage, but on a global stage to help people transform their lives as well. I guess probably the biggest thing for me is that I learnt over my journey that often, especially when we're younger, we allow other people's voices and stories to be bigger than our own. And Steve Jobs actually talks about this. He actually says this beautiful quote, never let other people's voices be louder than your own inner voice. And I think this is really part of where I wanted to go with this today, is what is that inner voice of you actually telling you about where you want to go and what you want to do? Where did you stop listening to that voice? And today we don't have time to go into the deeper level of how to override self-limiting voices, but I am going to, or stories and beliefs, I am going to give you a simple structure that I've developed to enable me to become really aware of those voices and my state, how to create a vision to override that, or to create a vision of where, this is where I'm going to go. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you some key questions around this. And then we're going to take one step of action together. Because as soon as you activate that step of action, or you take one step forward, you actually activate your own sense of personal power. And that's when you realize that suddenly those other stories or beliefs that are floating around in your subconscious may not even be your own. That moment of when you connect to that personal power moment, which we're going to do today, is where you start moving forward into this vision of who you are, not just who you want to become, but who you are becoming. And that's where everything will change. And how do I know? Because I've done it myself. So welcome. I'm excited to have you here. And as I mentioned, there are 3 key steps which I'm going to talk through with you today, which are the steps that I've taken to go from, and I'm going to be straight up about this, 15 years ago, living in a caravan with nothing, to now living a life that I dreamed of and having everything that I wanted to achieve, even though I was told many times it was impossible. So this is my framework that I'm going to show you right now. I call it AVA. These are the steps we're going to take together today. It's based on 3 core principles: awareness, vision, and action. Awareness, which is where are you right now and what's your state like? I'm going to introduce you to a model called the Me model. The vision is where do you want to go? So this is about clarity and setting a goal. And then the action is simple. It's what's one small step that you can take today. It's got to be easy, it's got to be small, and it's got to be immediate. And if you can do that today, you will change your game for 2025. I can tell you that right now. All right, now I said to you, when it comes to creating that vision, before we even get there, we have to become aware of how we're showing up right now. So where you're seeing the world right now. This is about awareness leading to vision. And I'm going to introduce you to the Me model. And the Me model is really interesting. It's something that I developed when I started developing, 20 years ago when I was working in retail. It's a model of awareness around state management. And if you've never heard of the term state management is how you show up. It's a way of connecting to who you are right now. And this is important because what I've learnt in my journey is that your state determines your experience. So if you want to be successful, success is an inside job and it starts with you. So I'm going to give you an explanation of where I started with this journey. So we'll come back to the studio now. Amazing. So back in the day, I worked in retail, and this was after I'd studied theatre and film, and I'd come out of theatre and film. And of course, what do you do when you're an actor in New Zealand? You end up working in retail. And retail was the most incredible space for me to understand human behaviour as an actor, because that's what I'm trained to do. Understand people, understand character, understand their needs, their values, how they operate in the world. And so I remember seeing people coming in and of course my job, I'm in sales, right? That's what I was doing in retail. And I would end up having these conversations and I learnt things about people. People would keep coming back to me because I'd always help them find the perfect gift when I worked in retail. I worked in a design store in Wellington. And because of that, I built a lot of trust with people and they would tell me about their lives. And this was so interesting because I learnt that people were often in one of the 4 states that I use to create the me model. What I learnt about people is that people were often at what I call ground zero. Life was hard. It was challenging. They weren't motivated. They just found like they were always having to start over and over again, as opposed to the people that I met in retail who were big picture thinkers or they were growth mindset people. So you were either at ground zero or you're in a state of growth. The other thing I learned is that people, like I said, either found things in life really hard or there were people that found things a little easier. It's quite hard riding sideways, I've just decided. So what I defined is that there were 4 types of people that would come into my retail store. First of all, there were the two me's. And the two me's are people that really, you'll know them if you hear it. The two me's are where people might say things like, everything's happening to me. Life is really hard. I just can't seem to catch a break right now. It's where people might feel like life is actually happening to them. So they're not a conscious controller of their life. They are constantly in fight or flight. They're constantly in response. And if you have a look at the matrix here, they are always feeling like they're at ground zero time and time again. It's like they're standing in quicksand all the time and struggling to catch a breath. Life is hard, and you can see that in the diagram there. Life is hard. They're at ground zero. It's often characterized by feelings of pain, burnout constantly. In some cases, and I experienced this myself, this is why I know this state and I identified with this state. A lot of anxiety comes in this space. I would hear people say, I'd say to them in the retail store, how's life for you right now? You know, what's happening? And they go, I just feel like I'm drowning. I'm swamped. Or they go, why? I don't know why life keeps happening to me like this. I just can't seem to catch a break. So have you ever heard of people like that before? I know I have a million times, and it's hard. It is not easy. I've been there myself so many times. And it would often be that, like I said, people would go, life is just happening to me and I don't know what to do. And what I realized very quickly as I would talk to people is that I'm a problem solver, right? And I would often go, well, what brings you joy? And when I was in this state myself, I created a list of what I call joy triggers, and I've actually spoken about this on television. I would talk to myself about what are the things that bring me joy. And it could be as simple as patting a dog. Like, I'm known in this neighborhood as the crazy dog lady. I talk to every dog that you can imagine up and down the road. I know them by name. I will go and pat every dog that I can. It brings me joy. What it does is it activates a change in my brain state. It activates a change in my mood. So if this state, the to me state, and you've got to be honest, you've got to be honest with yourself and go, am I constantly in this state? Do I catch yourself saying this? If you've ever said to yourself, gosh, this is really happening to me. I can't catch a break. If you know you are using language like this all the time, I question you, what is your joy trigger? How are you creating a change in your state? And this is really important because if you've heard people coming in and speaking to you with the same language, they are exhausting. And do you technically want to be one of those people who exhausts others? Or do you consciously and intentionally want to create a better life for yourself? Great question, right? So think about those joy triggers. This is the way to override the to me state. So I'm going to put here, joy trigger. That is how you change that state. Now, the next type of people that I met when I was working in retail were the people that were still at ground zero. So they were kind of going through Groundhog Day quite a lot. And you'll know these people as well. They were the ones that, sure, they might have a partner. And again, I've experienced this myself. They might have a partner who has got great income coming through and life is kind of easy for them, but they don't feel fulfilled. So in some instances, I met some really high net worth individuals and they might have a team or staff. And life is so much easier for them, but they don't feel like they're in growth mode. These people I call the formies. So life is kind of done for them, or in some instances handed to them. And look, I don't berate that at all. I love them. I think they're amazing humans, but they're not personally growing, and that's really what they want. So often I will hear things like, yeah, life just seems a bit monotonous. I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. It's just like I'm going through the motions. So they're really disconnected from the conscious present moment. They don't feel like they're growing, or especially when I see a lot of women who have spent a lot of their life perhaps married, bringing up children. They've lost their sense of identity and autonomy. So they're in kind of that holding pattern, and they know that they want more, but they don't know what to do about it. If that resonates with you, and I know this because I've been this woman too, my way of activating out of this state was actually to write a list of the things that I'm actually really passionate about. So here, it's not just about your joy triggers, but it's about writing a passion list. What this does is it brings you back to the conscious present moment where you start to change your narrative, you change those self-limiting beliefs that are keeping you in that holding pattern. It brings you back to the now. You can't you can't literally go backwards in time and change your story or the life that's happened to you. You can only make changes in the present moment, which is happening right now. So the passion list is a great place to start. So the third state that I've seen, where life is still a little bit hard, but you are in growth mode and you are perhaps a type A personality and you're a little bit more driven, you want change. These are the buy me people. And I see this all the time. And you will know a buy me person. These are the people that they are in the state, they are hyper driven, they are type A personalities who believe wholeheartedly that nothing can be done right unless it's done by them. And again, I know this state. I saw this in retail. I've seen this in character development. I have been this person myself. And I love them. And I loved that person that I was because I got a lot of stuff done. But over time, it creates so much tension in your body. This is one of the biggest triggers for people who suffer from burnout. You cannot hold that state long term. Sure, it's a short-term fix, and this is what we do under that fight or flight kind of pressure. This is where that fight takes over. But over a long period of time, and again, I speak from experience here, this will lead to adrenal fatigue. This will lead to, I've seen people who have said, oh, I've got, glandular fever and that sort of thing. It's adrenal fatigue, my friends. This is the trigger for those who experience adrenal fatigue, who, in some cases, I've seen people who have admitted to me that this has perhaps been the cause of their depression, their anxiety. They are so burnt out, they are tired, they are done. These people, like me, like I've been, are known for their leadership qualities. They are truly amazing people. But due to living in that constant state of tension, they just can't sustain it anymore. It's a short-term fix, but it is not a long-term solution. And how do we override this state? It's actually by finding balance. And look, it's a great thing to say, but how do we do that? It's about creating a plan for balance. And so what do I do in this situation? I know that when I become hyper-driven, either in a people space, if it's in a people space and I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking everybody up and it's like, yeah, let's go, let's do this. I can do this for a short period of time, but my balance space is doing something creative. So finding those things that activate that feeling of peace and calm. One of the most important things for me when I become hyper-driven, when I'm going, oh, nothing can happen unless it's happening, done by me, and my control freak side takes over, I have to go for a drive and I have to see the ocean. There is something about the ocean and water that just helps me find that balance. So if you find you are hyper-driven, if you are not coping right now, it is your responsibility to manage your state and to find your balance. And again, the 2 me's, find what brings you joy. The 4 me's, find what connects you back to your passion and inspires you, that will lift you up. And for the by me's, it's about finding balance. I know we talk about work-life balance. Look, it's a nice to have. The reality is, if you're in your own business, if you are building your own business, it is really hard to find work-life balance. So make it your mission to actually write a list. When you write a list, it becomes real. And again, these are the things that worked for me to help me change my state. All of these other states are they do not bring me joy. The true joy state is the one that I'm going to share with you now. And it's our state of flow. And this is called the through me state. And when you can achieve this, you'll know. The flow state or the through me state is where life happens through you. It's not happening to you. It's not happening for you and controlled by somebody else and reliant on other people and how they output things that contribute to your success. It's not by me, where you're the only one that can make things happen. It's where, you know, everybody's doing their thing and you are in your state of flow, where your skills and your expertise are flowing through you. It's the path of least resistance. It's your IQ, and IQ meaning nothing to do with the physical IQ, I should say your genius. It's your superpower coming through. It's the space where you have unlimited energy and that you can give, where other people see you shining and sparkling in your best light. And that, when you can achieve that state, that's where people go, I can see who you are. I can see how you add value to my business. This looks effortless for you. It's certainly not easy. Well, actually, flow is easy. When you can get to that state, that's where people want to work with you. It's not your areas of competency. We all have those. It's that area of genius and owning that space. For me, it's my words. Every time I get up and speak and I have that opportunity to talk to people, I know that the words always come through me to say the right thing, to activate others. That is my state of flow. And there are different things that I do that enable me to get into my flow state. And so there's this old methodology or practice that when we are in business, you've got to eat the frog, I think it is. I think that's the term. And forgive me if I got that wrong, but it's about tackling the hard things first. Actually, that doesn't work for me. I will do things that activate dopamine production in my brain. So whether it's, for me, I'll go onto online shopping and put a whole lot of things in my cart that activates joy, it activates that feeling of reward, and that activates my energy. And once I do that, even before coming on the live stream today, I was online shopping and putting things into a cart so that I would have the energy to be focused, to be able to give you the energy that you need to hopefully activate your state. So I want you to be honest with yourself. What brings you into your flow state? Have you ever experienced it? And if you haven't, why not? What's holding you back? Great question, right? Because today is all about getting out of your own way. So why is this model important? When we become aware of our state, we understand who we are when we come into a room. We understand, are we bringing in those stories that drag other people down? Are we an energy vampire? Are we one of those people who's like, yeah, life is just, look, it's just really easy. Like, are you bringing in a heavy energy, or are you bringing in a state that uplifts and excites others? And why is that important? If you come into a space or into a room, or you share content that excites and uplifts others, people will be more likely to want to work with you. They will be more attracted to you because, like I said earlier, your state determines your experience. And this is important, because so many times people will come up to me and say, oh, Monique, how are you so confident? Why is it that people are attracted to you? Why do people want to work with you all the time? What is the key to your success? My state. I am intentional about it. And even if I've had a bad day, I'm not faking it till I'm making it. I don't believe in that statement. I am acting as if. I am being the person who in the future I am becoming. I am bringing her into my conscious, intentional space right now, into reality right now, because the more that I do that, the faster my success comes towards me. People want to work with me because of that. And I'm owning that space, and so should you. So if you know that you are in your own way right now, my question to you is, what is your state? How are you showing up? Are you being that heavy energy person? Or are you being that person that uplifts others, that others want to work with? Because when you're in that space, that opens the doors to opportunity. But nothing's going to be handed to you. You've got to do your work first. So, just to recap, the 4 states, and I've got it here for you on the screen. Which state are you currently operating from? Are you in the to me? Are you feeling powerless or stuck, like life is happening to you? Are you in the for me state? Are you waiting for something external to change before you take action? So those are both of the ground zero spaces. Are you doing everything yourself? Are you a by me? Are you actively making things happen but pushing so hard and you know you're on the cusp of burnout? Or are you in a state of flow where things happen with ease? So are you energized, stuck, motivated, or frustrated? How long have you been in this state? Has it been days, months, or years? What's keeping you here? Is it fear? Is it self-doubt? Is it perfectionism? Is it external expectations? And your key takeaway from this is that you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So by recognizing your state, you take the first step in shifting it. All right, back to the studio now. All right, how did that land? Okay, are you aware of where you're at? Are you ready to make a change? Because my next question to you, up on the screen right now, what do you want to do about it? You've taken a moment to see where you're at using the me model. You know how some of the tools, we've started making some lists. You're either making your passion list, your joy trigger list, your balance list. You know that these are tools to shift your state. But here's the real question. What's holding you back? Is it self-doubt? Is it fear of failure? Often the biggest obstacle when it comes to overcoming self-limiting beliefs, when it comes to shifting your state or getting out of your own way, it isn't actually the obstacle itself. It's the hesitation in the lead up to change. It's the fear in the lead up to change. It's that moment of knowing I have to change, but what are people going to think about me? So some people would call that imposter syndrome, or, those moments of who do I think I am to make a change, to play big, to put myself out there. But here's the truth. Success, as I've said, is an inside job. Clarity is important. The vision, which is the next step we're going into, comes from clarity. And clarity, the next step from there is action. It's not from waiting. Getting out of your own way is not just from going, yes, here's where I'm at, and here's the vision of who I want to become, but it's actually that action step, and that's what we're going to do today. Are you with me? I hope so. It's really weird having this session today and not being able to actually see you. I'd love to be able to see your nodding faces, but that's okay. We can do this in a bigger webinar as well. Today we're going to break through some of those hesitations and start moving forward. So vision is all about where do you want to go? That's what we're going to cover now. And here's some questions for you. I'm going to keep this slide on the screen so that you can take some notes. If there were no limitations, what would your ideal life look like? I want you to ponder that. What would you be doing every day that excites you if you weren't in your way, if there were no limitations? What would success feel like for you? Not just look like, but actually feel like. What are you tolerating right now that you would no longer accept in this vision? Write some notes. And what's the biggest reason? I want you to be really honest with yourself. What's the biggest reason why you haven't taken action towards this vision so far? And finally, what would you need to change for you to believe that your vision is possible? All massive questions, right? These are all the questions that I have asked myself. I've been through this exact process myself. I am a constant self-reflector. The first hour of my day, every single day, is about learning and self-reflection. So I have this as a behavioral tool that I use to ensure that I'm on the right track. The first part is, of course, going through asking myself, who am I today? And according to the me model, am I a to me, a for me, a by me, or a through me? And my goal is to always be in that state of through me, the path of least resistance. And then I ask myself, what is the bigger vision? If money was no object, what would I be doing? What is the big goal? And every day I keep coming back to that big vision so that it's not just something that isn't out there, it's something I'm starting to feel, that I'm drawing closer to myself, because that actually impacts the step of action that I take. And every day when it comes to action, I'm asking myself, what is one step I can take today to get closer to that bigger picture? So I'm going to do a recap for you. I'm going to ask you those questions one more time. So big screen, vision, where do you want to go? Pete will bring that screen up. Here's your questions. If there were no limitations, what would your ideal life look like? What would you be doing every day that excites you? What would success feel like for you? Not just look like, but actually feel like. What are you tolerating right now that you would no longer accept in this vision? What's the biggest reason why you haven't taken action toward this yet? And what would you need to change for you to believe that this is possible? These are important questions. And if you want the full list of questions, send me a personal message or email me, Monique@moniquebradley.tv. I will send you the list of questions. And actually at the end of this live today, there is a QR code with a screen of a workbook that you can download, which helps you work through all of these questions as well. Now, the key takeaway when it comes to vision, this is really important. We'll bring this up on the screen for you as well. Vision is important because you cannot hit a target you cannot see. Clarity is what turns your dreams into goals and goals into action. If you want to screenshot this, please do. Put it on your screensaver on your phone. I have an alert that goes off at 9:55 every single day on my watch that reminds me you are amazing. Focus on clarity. What is your one step today that will take you closer to your bigger picture? You can do this. All right, now that you've got a whole list of questions to contemplate, because that's your homework, all of those questions, you've got to work this stuff out. We move into the clarity. We move from clarity into action. And we'll bring this up on the screen now too. Action. What's one small step you can take? So I want you to consider, what is one thing you can do today that moves you toward your vision? And if you need time to work on your vision, that's okay. I want you to take some notes of these questions. I want you to consider, what's the smallest possible step you can take right now? Just the smallest. If it's as simple as, I can do a social media post that leads me towards that person I'm becoming, or that offer that I'm going to put out there, do that. If it's talking into a topic that is relevant to where you want to go in your career, do that. One small step, that's all I ask of you. I've got some other key questions for you, and I have them written down here. So if you want the full list, let me know. What's something that you can commit to doing in the next 24 hours? One small step. And there's a reason why. I'll explain this at the end. Who can hold you accountable for this? It could be me. It could be your bestie. It could be a family member. It could even be, you can set up an accountability reminder on your watch or your phone so that it goes off. Like I have alerts set up to remind me, to hold me accountable to everything. It just works, and I don't have to use extra parts of my executive functioning to remind myself. Use technology to remind you of how are you, or to ask you, how are you showing up today? Or what's that one small step? I have a to-do list in my notes on my phone. You can set up tasks on your phone with deadlines to remind you of that one small step you can take. So who can hold you accountable? It could be a person or it could be technology. And finally, what would happen if you took this step right now? I can tell you what happens because I've done it so many times. This incredible thing happens, the sense of achievement when you just do one small thing. And I now know it's activating the production of dopamine, so it's the reward center in the brain that actually goes off. It's this feeling of empowerment that happens. It's this total state change. So every time I achieve one small thing, if it's getting that video done, or if it's creating a resource, or if it's making that phone call that I've been putting off for a long time, if it's doing one small thing, I get this rush afterwards. And that's your body going, good on you. You've done it. It's leading you to that bigger goal, that bigger vision of who you want to become. It's actually about getting out of your own way. Well, it's actually the subconscious getting out of your way, and it's your conscious going, actually, hey bucko, you're saying to your brain, hey bucko, I'm actually the boss here. So while I might have all those stories and I've been through all that trauma and I've had all these things, I acknowledge all of that, and that's shaped probably part of your self-concept of who you are today. It doesn't have to govern who you can become. It's actually you in the conscious, intentional moment saying, you know what? I'm the storyteller. I am the one with the pen in my hand writing a new narrative, and I'm doing that right now. And the rush that you get from making that change, you cannot beat it. It's like winning lotto. It is unbelievable. And I had this experience myself years and years ago. I remember I was watching the Ellen DeGeneres show one afternoon, and I remember watching these two young girls on the show. Their names are Sophia, Grace and Rosie, and they were beautiful kids from the UK, hilarious. And Sophia Grace in particular, she had long dark hair, curly hair like I have, and she was, except much longer than mine, and she was hilarious and brilliant, and she was a big personality, unapologetically a big personality. And she was so much fun and so vibrant. And she had everybody in the audience giggling. And I remember watching her going, oh my gosh, that reminds me of who I was when I was younger. Oh my gosh, she's so vibrant. I love her. She's brilliant and amazing. And in that moment, when I saw her and I realized this is who I was. And then I said to myself, where have I gone? Wow. How have I been asleep for 40 odd years and so disconnected from her? And in that moment, I said to myself, wow, if that's who I actually am, and if that's disappeared, and if I've just woken up right now, what am I going to do about it? And I took one step of empowered action. And in this instance, I wrote myself an affirmation. And I said, I'm grateful for love that has entered my life. I'm grateful to live in a loving relationship. I'm grateful to live in a beautiful house. I'm grateful to have an abundance of money coming into my life. And I started rewiring, writing new stories. And that happened in the conscious, intentional moment of now. Because I had all these stories that were saying, you're not good enough, that you shouldn't play big, that you should try and fit in, that you should dumb it down or tone it down to be acceptable. And I realized that those voices had become the narrative of my entire life. They had got in my way of becoming who I really felt I could be or should be. And normally I wouldn't say, oh, sorry, I keep banging the microphone. Normally I shouldn't say should. And in fact, one great speaker says you should stop shoulding everywhere. And I totally agree with that. But I know that I was born into this life with a mission and a purpose and a passion. I know that my words are my superpower, and I had put all that aside and let those other voices become louder than me, louder than my own. So that was that moment of change, and I started changing by rewriting the narrative. So the key to change, of getting out of your own way, is going, actually, what state am I in first of all? What are the stories I'm telling myself, and what are the stories I'm telling about myself to others? And then we move into, great, what is that bigger vision of who I want to become? And then it's moving into that state of, what am I going to do about it? Because I can tell you, when you get to the through me state, when you've done all of this work, life is completely different. It is easier. You're constantly learning and growing. You know you don't have everything worked out, but it's your job to stay in alignment with who you are, to honor your genius, to be unapologetic about your bigness, your place in the world, and to share your magic with someone else. You see, what I've learned is that in this life journey, we all have amazing skills and expertise, and every single one of our unique skills and expertise fit together like a jigsaw. So if I want to get to this destination over here, the end vision of who I'm becoming, I know I'm not an expert in IT as an example. So I would bring that person in who is in their through me state, who has that beautiful analytical mind, who has all that skills and expertise, and lean on their superpowers to fill that gap in the jigsaw that I can't fill. And there's so many gaps in our own beautiful jigsaw puzzle that when we align with others, when we stay in our lanes, when we stick to our knitting and all those other metaphors and sayings that we know, when we stick to ours, when we lean out and collaborate with others who have their own superpowers, not only do we fill our own gaps in their learning journey, in our learning journey, I should say, or our growth journey, we acknowledge the skills and expertise of others. We help them shine and sparkle too. And that, my friends, is the pathway to success. By staying true to ourselves, by sticking in our flow and helping others do the same, magic happens. Magic happens. So the key takeaway around action that I want you to remember, we'll bring this up on the screen, is nothing changes until you do. The first step, sure, it's always the hardest, but actually, it's actually the easiest. And it's also the most important step. So I ask you today, if you've been getting in your own way, have a look at your state. Get really clear about where you want to go and who you're becoming. And then just ask yourself, what's that one small step I'm going to take today to make a change? Because I am living proof that it's possible. Wow, so big session. I'm going to remind you finally of what the steps are. As I've said, it starts with these three things. Ava, I call my model. Awareness, where are you? Where are you at? Remember, look at your state. Where are you at in the me model? Come down to the second stage, your vision. Where do you want to go? Clarity and becomes goal setting. Get clear and then set your goals. And then what's that action step that you can take? What's one step you can take today, which is easy, small, and immediate? That is the key to success. Now, I mentioned to you before, I'm going to show you a QR code that has a downloadable book. This is one of the many books that I've written, so every time I get peopled out, I have to go and do something creative, and this was one of the creations that I have. You don't have to sign up to my website to download it. It is a free download for you. It's actually an adult colouring book as well. It's got loads of cool graphics in there, so if you know that you need to do something kinesthetic and do some colouring in, this is called Show Up. It's uncovering authenticity. It's a guide with a whole bunch of these questions that I've asked you today that you can work through to help you connect back to who you really are. And it's a lot of fun. So just scan that QR code, or if you want the link, you can send me a message. I'm happy to send that through to you. And again, you don't have to sign up to my mailing list or anything. It's just a free download for you from my website. And finally, I know a lot of people who come to these webinars, they're curious and they say to me, oh, Monique, but I'm really resonating with what you're talking about. Are you just a keynote speaker on this stuff? No, I do coaching as well. So if you want to do a little bit of work together, if you know you've got a bigger story to tell, or you want to get yourself out there and you're not sure how to do that, and it's not just you becoming a keynote speaker, it's becoming you becoming better in the work that you do, or having better communications in the workplace, or wanting to create more impact in your social media and making it authentic, I can help you with that too, because it all comes back to storytelling. So you can scan this QR code or send me an email, monique@moniquebradley.tv, and I'd love to work with you. I can do a one-off scoping session with you, which will help you provide some clarity for you and with you. And then if you want longer-term support or accountability and coaching, I have a coaching package which works over 10 sessions that will literally help you transform that inner narrative, create that vision of where you want to go to, get really clear, and then together we work through the steps to help you achieve that. So if that's resonating, send me an email. Let's talk. it all starts with a coffee or a Zoom call or whatever you want to do. I'm pretty open to working with people, because at the end of the day, stories matter. Stories matter for me as a keynote speaker, because the stories we share can impact and change somebody else's life. But even more importantly, the stories that we tell ourselves are the keys to success. So as a story, from one storyteller to another, I want to ask you today, are you the one holding the pen when it comes to the stories that you're telling yourself? Or are you running off the narratives and scripts that somebody else told you about yourself? How are you showing up? What is your state? Your state determines your experience. When you're in that state, what stories are you sharing with others? Finally, we've done a lot of work today. I've asked you a lot of questions. I hope this has been helpful for you. This is literally the process I go through every day. And I wanted to share with you my favorite t-shirt that's in my drawer. And it has one simple statement on it, which says, make your message meaningful. This is important for me as a keynote speaker, but most importantly, for you. These stories can hold you back or can elevate you into an incredible life. And again, I speak from experience. So when you're doing that inner narrative work, the same thing applies. Make your message to yourself meaningful too. Right, time for me to head away. Thank you so much if you've stopped in and joined me. This was supposed to be 20 minutes today. I'm so sorry, but I just couldn't help myself. Again, I get into the through me state and all of these words and stories come through. So I hope this has been valuable for you. And if you need help or support, reach out. That's what I'm here to do. I would love for my superpower and my genius, which again has nothing to do with IQ, it's all about flow. I would love for my flow to help you get into yours. Engari, ko Monique Bradley tōku ingoa, he kai kōrero aho. I'm Monique Bradley, I'm a storyteller, and so are you. So make your message meaningful. Thanks to Pete Ward for running the technology in the background. Couldn't do it without you. You are a legend. Thanks for using your superpower to help me. I'll see you next time. Stay magical. Ka kite anō e noho rā.